Welcome to Concordia International University. Today we're going to talk about reading. Reading. For some, it's just joy, enjoyment. For some, it's a challenge. And most of the time, it's both, according to what you are reading. Let's see what our presentation suggests. Maybe there are some ways to make it both rewarding and enjoyable. Let's look. Let's open our curtains to the education, to the light of reading. Reading strategies, it says. And what is it again? Thinking about how we think. Thinking about how we think? What does it mean? Oh, yes. Before you can truly improve your reading skills, you need to understand what happens in good readers' minds while they read. You may even know those things already. You just don't know it yet. Think about it. Yes, when you have actually a book or a reading before you, you might have some expectations, some thoughts about the topic, the context, anything. Let's see how it goes further. Thinking about how you think? Good readers have developed good habits when they read. We call these habits strategies. Did you know that? You had some habits and they're called strategies. Okay, strategies help readers understand, connect to, and determine the importance of what they are reading. They also visualize, ask questions about, and read between the lines of what they read. Between the lines. We use it in English also in oral communication. Well, somebody says something but maybe means something different, then we say, oh, we had to read between the lines, which means something which is not said but meant. Okay, how does it go further? Here's some reading strategies. Make connections, ask questions, determine importance, predict, visualize, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, don't study. Read. Yes, let's resume. So we have a thought, we have an expectation when we have a piece of reading in front of us. And most of the good readers, one of you probably, thinking what to expect. Or maybe thinking not just read the lines, but what actually lies behind it. So that's why when we look at it again, there are some strategies they suggest. Make connections, and we're going to look at that, what that is. Ask questions, determine importance. Predict is one of the most important things, actually. One is important. Everybody is important here, and everything is important. Visualize. Do not study, read, which I mainly point out this last one, but we're going to come to that. Let's start with make connections. How? Text to self, text to text, text to life. What does it actually really mean? Text to self is basically identifying yourself with what you read. Maybe you had the same experience somewhere in your own life. Our lives are stories, actually. Our lives are storybooks. We don't write it. And the next one is text to text. Maybe it recalls something you had read before. And then, what does it say again? Text to life. Real world events. Maybe you heard it somewhere else. Maybe you watched it on television. Okay, let's continue. Then we come to connections. How do we do these connections thing? We have to ask. We have to ask some questions to ourselves. What do I already know about this? Has anything similar ever happened to me? How would I feel if this happened to me? Can I relate to the characters? For sure, this is mainly when you read a novel. Does this story remind me of something? Connect yourself to the text. Now, you might want to ask, what if I'm reading something academic, an article? Even articles have parallel thoughts, can create parallel thoughts. You read something about science and you maybe experienced the thing they're talking about out of your window. So always try to make the book you're reading out of the screen, out of the paper, and connect it to the life. Okay, what else? Let's imagine we did that. What else? Ask questions. Okay, we continue asking questions. What kind of questions? Asking questions help keep you focused on the text. If your mind wanders, you will not understand and you'll be bored. If you run into problems, think you just don't understand, then you can check yourself with a question. Here I have to point out something. When we read, we mostly, native speakers, second language speakers, third language speakers, everybody who reads might bump into a vocabulary or a term which we don't understand. It's out of our world. And then, especially when we are a second language speaker, we want to know it right away, almost stopping in every word we don't know and look it up. I definitely don't recommend that. Read it through. You can take some notes if you really didn't understand the entire paragraph. Take a note to come back to it later. Then you can use your beloved dictionaries or smartphones, but not before. Read it first, as a whole, to understand the gist. Okay, what comes now? Let's share and see again. Okay, and now we go to determine what is important. This is especially when you read something for an assignment or for academic purposes, but even without it. Because, look, it says, pick and choose which details are the most important to remember. Think about what a teacher might ask on a test, or what part you need to maybe write your assignment about. Think about what the author hints might be important later on. This is, again, a mixture of academic reading suggestions but more so for novels. Because if you read for class purposes, there might be some questions. There might be some text and tests afterwards the teacher would like to have you finish, accomplish. If you read it for an assignment, you need the information, definitely the specific information, to actually build your own paper around it. So each time when we read, even if it's for an enjoyment, think about what is important. If nobody asks you anything, you just enjoy it as a free time activity, then again, it's a good idea to think, what did actually the author mean by that? Why did he or she write it? That's how we understand other people's brains. That's why we read, actually, to understand each other, to learn from each other. Even if it's just a silly story, we learn. And then, let's see again what comes up. Yes, that was this. And then that we go to predict. Oh, I like that part very much. Predicting. Ask yourself, like a detective, what isn't stated that I have figured out? Maybe something is not said, but I found out. What do I predict will happen? Why do I think so? By asking those questions, you can be more connected to the content. Maybe our generation, more your generation, is used to have everything served ready in terms of internet, knowledge, parents, teachers, material. We help you all to find information in a very short and easy way. But it's not necessarily the best thing to do, to actually move your brain cells. It's always a good idea to think, predict. When you see, for example, an article saying, cats, maybe not so. What would I think will be the text about? Cats? Maybe not so. What? Not so like we think about them? Maybe not so depending on their owner? Well, will this text actually be looking at the cat's character from a different point of view that I have never thought about? Predict. Okay, let's continue. Detective, you see that? It's a good one. Okay. And what else? Visualize. Some people are, ladies and gentlemen, but before we go there, I want to tell you something looking into your eye, because that's exactly what I would like to say. Some people are visual learners. They learn better, they understand better. You don't maybe read the books just to learn, but you have to understand it in order to enjoy. So some people are perceiving cognition, I'm talking about understanding, by visuals, by seeing or imagining it. That's why maybe small children and now actually big children also like cartoons, because you can actually visualize it. And that never stops, even if you grow older. So you don't have to have a cartoonist or Walt Disney. You can actually imagine the visuals of what you are reading. And that helps you to more grasp the entire idea, like watching a movie. Many people who are reading books about the movies and then watching the movie afterwards don't like it. Guess why? Because they think their visualization was better than the director's interpretation. I heard it many times. So yes, you can visualize. Maybe you cannot make a movie of it, who knows, but you can visualize, and it helps you to understand the scenery and the entire context way better. Let's look at further what's coming up now. After. Okay, now what did we do? We made connections. We determined what is important for us. We actually thought, what am I thinking about this topic, about this book? And then what is important for me? What did the author actually want to say? And now we are there. Look, it says here beautifully. I put that here. I mean, it's beautiful. The author's job is to paint pictures in the reader's mind. The reader's job is to visualize what the author describes. The authors want it. Once that you visualize, you almost see the scene. And then, final points to remember. First, let's read about it, and then I'm going to have some private suggestions for you, and then leave you to read and enjoy and learn. So some final points to remember. Understand the context. Do not simply translate. As I told you before, especially the second language learners do that. Don't do it. Do not feel like you are studying. You don't have to memorize anything. Just enjoy. Do not translate the text. Instead, read the surrounding context and image and guess the meaning. Learn more than language. Learn knowledge and refine culture with reading. Oops, I have to talk to you here. Again, what is this? Learn the culture. When you are Chinese, Korean, Italian, Russian, and read something about Ireland, you will not only feel a different language by reading, also a different setting, different values, different behavioral attitudes, different everything. So you don't only read English and improve your English, you also learn about Irish culture, if the book is about it. So that's very important. Just don't take it like a language. Language is culture. It's very difficult to take culture out of the language. So pay attention to that. Let's go back to the suggestions, which are very important. It says, choose books that suit you, unless it's a given text, task, article to read. Yes, if actually, ladies and gentlemen, if you read for improving your language or enhancing your free time and rewarding your brain or spirit, choose the ones you want to read. Choose the ones you are curious about. If you are curious about, you learn better. If I tell you something you're not interested in, you forget it. But if I tell you something you're, even by listening, if I tell you something you really want to know, you pay attention, our brain focuses. So again, let's look at it for the last time. And we said, happy readings. And we always put the references, as you see. When you have to prepare some presentation, don't forget that either. Okay, now it's time to see you again. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it helped you to open the first cover and go into the book. Prepare your brain, though, before. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you in another session. Bye.